sometimes no matter what you do, you can never reach this level of joy that other people seem to be able to experience. Well, I'm going to share an Akashic record reading that I just did with a client in case it helps you on your journey as well. One of the top things that I see with empaths and lightworkers who want to be full-time energy healers, or maybe even are full-time energy healers, is confidence and self-concept. We are very self-aware beings. If you're watching this and you're on my page, you're a very self-aware being and you're always trying to be the best version of you. That's probably from childhood trauma, but it also might be because you've been a healer in lots of different incarnations, and sometimes there's a shroud over you, filter lenses as I call them, from the human experience of societal programming, or again, traumatic things that happened to you in childhood, or people saying that magic's not real or whatever, and that makes you question yourself and question your gifts and abilities. So this client that I was working with, she was kind of undercutting and underselling herself a little bit, and I asked her to explain what her gifts were to me, and I was like, ma'am, you were doing Akasha level work, okay, with people like unknowingly, and I said, you have a whole bunch of other gifts too that are really, remarkable, especially because, based off of when your awakening was. And I said, that is because you've been a healer in a lot of different incarnations. So instead of you learning these modalities, it's more of you remembering that you've already done it. And when you do that frequency shift of, oh no, this is me, and I'm just unlocking keys and portals within myself, it takes so much pressure and weight off of you because you're not having to learn in the 3D human constructual sense. And I was like, actually, you can start channeling different higher self versions of you from different timelines that already have certain gifts, and then you can bypass having to learn like the modalities in depth in this one. But their higher self was also saying that they were having to work for joy. And this person was saying that they've been doing so much work, shadow work. And I was like, yeah, I can see that in your energy field. Like you're always doing a massive amount of work, like every single day. And they were feeling like they were stuck, like they weren't doing enough with their inner children to make progress. And one of their karmic lessons that they're currently working through is to not be doing shadow work 24/7. And I know that sounds very counterintuitive because it's like, oh, we need to be on our stuff. But sometimes you hit this precipice point in your healing journey where shame and guilt can be beneficial to kick your butt in gear. Okay. It's like, okay, I'm at my lowest point. I've hit the bottom. I need to get it together. Okay. We've all been there before. And sometimes we go through those phases, even now, right? You hit the bottom of your level and you need to go to a new one. But I was explaining, they had capped out in their container. They learned as many tools and resources as they possibly could, and they've been doing so much healing with their inner children. I said, this is where we swing back around to having to work for joy. I said, sometimes we have parents and guardians that put so much pressure and responsibility on us. And what we do as healers, especially if you're an energy healer or coach, is we do that to our inner children. And we, not intentionally, but you'll be like, we need to work harder, we need to learn more modalities, we need to, and you're coming in with that same energy and regurgitating generational trauma. And we don't mean to do that because it's through a spiritual lens. And so we're like, oh no, this is good. And no, it's the same thing as capitalism or trauma from your parents and guardians. It's just in a different flavor. And this person was having a little bit of a difficult time differentiating between what was their current things that they needed to work through and pain and trauma from their inner child. And I said, well, if you've already done all this work, what ends up happening is we still attach to the pain and the trauma. We're looking through the lenses as if it's still happening to us. And I said, are those things actually happening to you right now? Or did they happen with your inner children in past versions? Because if you're saying that it's me in the current, then it is you in the current. But if you can say, oh, let me help y'all through this stuff, now you shift into a new higher self version. You have to take on that leadership and that guardianship role in your life and speak to them about their pain and trauma so you can help them process through it, and then all of you release it and get onto the new timeline together. So I said, why do you feel like you need to work for joy? And this person said, I don't feel that way. And I said, great. I said, then where's that coming from? because it's in there, it's in your frequency field. And she said, oh, it's coming from my inner children. I said, okay, so what happens when you try to experience joy when you were younger? And she said, I don't feel like I have a lot of trouble experiencing joy when I was a kid. And I said, okay, well, what were you having a hard time experiencing? And they said anger. There was like so much chaotic anger, and they were never allowed to express themselves. And I said, okay, who did that to you? Parents, guardians. And I said, okay, I want you to look at anger and joy over here. Okay, sometimes unprocessed emotions, especially anger because it's so heavy, will sit on top of joy, and it's almost like you have to fight in order to get like big frequencies of joy. And I said, do you feel like you had to earn joy from your parents? And she was like, oh. And I said, yeah. I was like, it's that impending doom pressure that we feel, and then we end up doing that to self. And then it becomes a controlling mechanism. And then you're trying to control your outcomes of your spiritual gifts. You're trying to control interactions with clients. You're trying to control everything in your life. And then you start creating this vortex of unworthiness inside. And then you get on this hamster wheel. And like nothing is ever good enough. You're never good enough. You're always pushing success to tomorrow, right? That's what your inner children are doing. They're saying we cannot experience joy and feel successful in the here and now because there's always more that we can do. And I said, that's where you have to come in as a higher self and explain to them, I don't need anything from you. I literally want you to be happy and thriving and joyful, and us stay in the present moment and celebrate the beautiful galactic goddess that we are, okay, healer that we are, because we are already advanced. If you are not recognizing that you are an advanced spiritual healer, you're going to hit a ceiling and you're not going to be able to go to the next level because you're not recognizing self in the here and now. And when we're so focused on the past and so focused on the future, it's dispersing so much energy and you're not able to really live into the moment and into your greatness because we're putting it off in the future or giving power to the past. And so I said, we need to reconfigure to the here and now and help your children feel empowered with who they are in this now moment. I was telling them, you're not blocked. That like there's literally nothing keeping you from going to the next stage and really expanding on your spiritual gifts and being able to tap into way more dimensions and frequencies in the Akashic Records. The only thing that is kind of a filter lens right there is inner children saying, I need to be more and I need to do more. No, you don't. You just need to recognize how awesome you are and sit in that in the present, and that is what will unlock that portal door. I also like to say too, so everybody wants to feel peace and joy and happiness and bliss and magic and all those things, but if those are not frequencies that you're used to in your body, sometimes we were punished as children, whether that's emotionally or physically, for getting excited or being lively or expressing ourselves or sharing our thoughts. And so you may have had to like disassociate from your emotions in order to keep yourself safe. That's a trauma response. And so, for example, when I started feeling peace in my life, not chaos and anxiety, it physically hurt me to feel those things, like emotionally and physically, because it was such a wild frequency than what I was used to. And I had to incrementally teach my inner children that joy and magic and peace and laughter were safe to feel, that no one was going to hurt us, that I am the higher self, I am the guardian, I am the protector, and it is okay to be happy. Okay? It is our right to feel those things, and now we are in a space of life where we can freely feel them. But that's not always something that you can do just straight overnight. Sometimes you have to do that incrementally with your inner children, and that's okay too. And I wanted to share this in case it helps you on your journey. I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you would like to schedule an Akashic record reading to either talk about your spiritual gifts or inner child healing, if you've been kind of feeling a little bit blocked up, maybe you need some empowerment and some mirror reflection back of your greatness, right? You can go to my profile and click, or check the description box here below or in the comments. And I'm sending you and your inner children a lot of fairy magic love today.